I am.
I don't know whether I got all of them, but I will speak to them. How many times the deceased was booked, and how many times he was booked out, and so on. That's what you have said. From the record we have, we are aware that the deceased was booked in alive, okay? And the next time he was booked out, he was purportedly taken to hospital at Mbagadi. And what we learned from Mbagadi Hospital is that he was actually pronounced dead on arrival. So those are the two bookings we have in regard to the deceased. The question of when we are summoning the DIG, as I have said, the investigation is a very systematic process. And we have to go from what we know, we have to develop the typical nature of criminal investigation is you develop from what you know to what you don't know. So we are very systematic in how we are going through this investigation. So the question of when, I will not be able to tell you because we are actively in this investigation. And please allow us to go through the sequence of the order in which we are perceiving the evidence and the order in which we have recorded the evidence so far. So that is a decision the investigators will make at an appropriate time. That decision is even not made by any of us here. It's by the investigators. The criteria which we determined to speak to detainees, again, we are searching for any piece of evidence or any lead of information which can be able to unearth exactly what happened. In the process of that, we did confirm that there were detainees, not necessarily in this particular cell, but in the cells nearby. And that is how we ended up identifying, through statement taking, the detainees we are going to speak to. And we are saying we are open. We remain still open. The investigation is live. We are appealing to the members of public to give us more information because there is a lot of information out there and we are listening to all those information. So that is what we want to confirm. And we want to, once more, thank you, particularly our friends from the media and the members of public who have been very, very helpful in supporting Ipoa to make the progress we've made so far. And we want to assure the members of public and the Kenyan people at large that Ipoa is taking this investigation very, very seriously. The board has committed to expedite this investigation, and the required resources have been committed to this this investigation. And we want to assure you that we are very expeditious, but we don't want to hurry this investigation in a way of concluding it just because of the pressure out there. You can see from what we have presented to you today and in the subsequent days, the progress and the development we are making. We want to commit that we will keep you posted, we'll keep the members of public informed. And we also want to appeal through your voices that anybody who has any information which can help Ipoa expedite this investigation to a timely conclusion, we want to make that appeal and invite. And that's why we have the families today, together with the family lawyers. We are working very closely with the family and the family lawyers, and together with our own team, to make sure that we are able to give justice to the family and unearth what has happened in this case of death of Ojwang. Thank you very much.
Yes, CEO, just one last round of questions, then we will be done. Yes, please.
I'd just like to ask if there's some reports that the officer Mukwana who was arrested or arraigned in courts today was actually on the day shift, so 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Are you able to comment on what circumstances put him in the place of the killing?
Okay.
Okay, this is a yes or no question. If yes, you will call the name. If no, you will inform me. Do you know who gave the order? Yes or no? All right. Yes.
The question is there any effect of the person that had given the orders for the deceased to be arrested? Is there any effect of him not being detained as the process of the investigation continues?
And lastly,
from the civilian who was arrested, that was today, from the reports, we have sources, we are journalists, sorry, just want to see you. There are talks, and what we hear is that he has confessed that he was paid 3,000 for the work he did. And the question is, who paid him to dismantle the CCTV? That's my question.
Is that
okay. So thank you very much. I think we can take those. Now, the question of the shift, Mukwana Day, and so on and so forth. As you may know, in the typical police deployment, there are shifts arrangements. And Mukwana was the shift which was on cell sentry. And certainly, he starts at a point and closes his shift at a point. And while this is a still live investigation, from the evidence we have on record, he has something he knows very well in terms of what happened, because at the point when this incident happened, in terms of the evidence we have so far gathered, he was in position. And therefore, we know that he was on the shift. And that is what we would want to say to that. Now, the question of yes and no, it will be difficult to say yes and no. I would want to be clear with that. And I've clearly explained. A complaint was made. So a complaint was made. The complaint was made to DCI, the Serious Crime Unit. Investigation ensued. Part of that investigation ended up with identifying the suspects, and one of the suspects who was identified was the deceased and was arrested. Now, in terms of what we know, this is what we know. The effect of course, somebody who has given orders and so on, I think this is well tied with my earlier response. Now, the question of the person who interfered, of course, who was called and what he was paid and so on. As you said, you guys also get information. We can have that information if it is available and you are willing to share with us and particularly reduce it into a statement, that is welcome. But we are aware that a civilian was called in, and that is the person we have in custody. The question of who was paid what, it is part of the evidence which we are preserving.
Who called you?
Of course, it was called from the police station. Yeah. So again, I think what is critical is the milestone we are making. Because if we didn't have this person, I think you have a lot of questions to ask, and the members of the public, through you, can be interested to ask them. So I think, let it be clear that the suspects we have, the OCA Central Police Station is a person of responsibility. Actually, the highest ranking officer at the station level. And we've gotten, of course, the other officer and the civilian. We are not stopping there. So the investigation continues to grow. So allow us
just take the last ones. The last ones.
Okay.
All right. So, yes.
My question would be, have you been able to identify probably why, because we were told in the DCI reports, they had other people who were arrested alongside Albert. Have you been able to identify why did they settle on Albert specifically in terms of torturing and until his death? Maybe probably for whatever information they are trying to get out of him. Is there any links that is leading to why they settled on him specifically? And the other question is given the nature and the sensitivity of the case, given that a senior officer is involved in it, you as Ipoa, what chances, what guarantee do you have that there will be no interference of the investigation for you to find any links that are directly linking to the senior officer, in that?
Thank you very much. Daniel over here. You seem not to have read something on the sheet.
And maybe so far, have you encountered any interference in your investigations, especially from the police unit side?
Thank you very much. Now, you seem not to have answered something. Which shift was Mukwana? Was it on day shift or night shift?
So why do these reports keep happening? Why are there so many Albert Ojwangs that we report on over and over in Kenya? Is there not being a way to sort of try to systematically to stop this kind of torture and death at the hands of the police?
And lastly, okay, please, as the CEO of Ipoa, you're on camera. I just want you to confirm that ever since Ojwang died up to now, we don't know who ordered the arrest.
Thank you very much, dear.
Okay. So thank you very much. The question of Albert Ojwang was arrested along with others. At the point of arrest of Albert Ojwang, what we know is that Albert was arrested himself and was ferried all the way from his village in Homa Bay and brought all the way to Central Police Station. But as part of the investigations of the DCI, we are aware that there may have been another suspect who was arrested previously and detained by the CID. Now, what we are focusing on is the arrest and leading to the death of Albert Ojwang. So, and from the information we have, and what our focus of investigation is, the circumstances leading to the death of Albert Ojwang. So therefore, there was nobody else who was arrested at the point when Albert was arrested. He was arrested and ferried all the way to Central Police Station. Now, the question of what guarantees there that there will be no interference. As you know, Ipoa is an independent institution. We are an independent authority. And in our act, if you read our act, that we are not subject to any authority. And we have sole mandate and authority to make the decision. So I want to confirm that we have the powers and we have not experienced any interference in this investigation. Actually, we want to acknowledge that in very rare times, that we have actually gotten the best of the cooperation possible from the police in the instance of Albert Ojwang. As you know, for example, we don't have arresting powers as Ipoa officers. We are using the police officers to arrest the suspect. Part of those suspects are police officers. And the police are the ones who are actually assisting us cause those arrests. So there are no interference at this stage, and we don't expect that there will be any interference because this is a matter of great public interest, and I think it is within the interest of all the Kenyans to ensure that we get to the bottom of this. So that is what I would wish to say. Again, the question of Mukwana and the shift. We know that Mukwana was at the time when Albert Ojwang was booked in, he was on the shift. But he was relieved thereafter. And this is what we want to say once more again. This is a very evolving situation. And we may call you shortly after this, maybe next week and thereafter, to update you on the progress we are making. I would want to leave it there. Thank you very much.
Please repeat the question.
Kindly confirm to the public that as independent policing oversight authority, up to now, ever since Ojwang died, we don't know who gave the order.
And tied to that, it is a thumb rule that somebody who is a complainant in a given case becomes the first suspect. He becomes the prime suspect. So we feel what is troubling the public and the media here is that the police NPS confirmed that Lagat was the complainant on this matter. And why is he not, why has he not stepped aside?
Okay, very well. So let me speak to those two questions once again. And I want to start with the last one. You see, the deceased died in police custody within the jurisdiction of officers we know. We know the officers responsible in this station in the custody in which he died. Now, for example, if, for example, any suspect who was complained about, and we've seen this in Ipoa, where a civilian was a suspect, and thereafter he goes missing. That way, the investigation can be worked out in such a way that you identify what were the circumstances which led to the missing of this person. I mean, you start working backwards. But in this instance, and as I've said, this is an evolving matter. From what we know and what we are trying to catch is this person was brought, he was booked, he was in custody. So we know he was alive up to the time when he was booked in, but he died in custody. So why we have not started with the complainant is because there are certain facts which are very clear. The facts are as we have narrated. And we are not saying that we are not going to speak to the complainant. We're only saying we are sequencing in the manner in which we are processing the investigation. That decision will be made at an appropriate time. Now, the question of who ordered arrest, because this question has been asked for the third time, my position remains the same. Because I don't want to tell you what we don't know, and we don't want to speculate on this matter. What we know as the authority was that a complaint was launched. The person who launched the complaint is known, it's in public domain. The matter was reported to the DCI through the serious crime. Investigations were conducted, and you heard from the IG in public what they were able to do. Part of that investigation ended up identifying Albert Ojwang, the deceased, that he was one of the suspects. And that's why he was arrested. Now, so I would only say that it was part of that investigation which led, at least from the information we have. If there is any of you or the members of public or anybody who has any information contrary to this, we are open. And that's why we are saying this is an evolving, it's a dynamic, of course, process, and this investigation is live. Allow us to take it to the natural conclusion of it. Maybe we will have answers at the conclusion of it. But for now, that is the position. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please allow for the investigation to proceed. This statement will make it available to you, and at the shortest notice we'll be able to call you for further updates. And
Thank you very much.
You have my number in case you want further clarification.